Last week, I talked to you about one of the business expenses that people often forget to get a deduction for because it does not show up in your bookkeeping, right? So it's something you have to proactively remember to put into your taxes at tax time. This week, I'm coming at you with another one of these, which is parking and tolls. So this is just a small deduction, but it is extra money that you might be missing.
Welcome to the Sunlight Podcast. In this show, we're talking about taxes, money, and careers for self-employed people who have a big vision for changing the world with their work. I'm your host, Hannah Cole, artist, tax pro, and the founder of Sunlight Tax. If you're a creative or soul-centered entrepreneur or wellness practitioner who wants to grow your business sustainably, manage your taxes, and build a stash of fuck you money so you can control your time and have a bigger impact with your work, you are in the right place.
Hello! Last week, I talked to you about one of the business expenses that people often forget to get a deduction for because it does not show up in your bookkeeping, right? So it's something you have to proactively remember to put into your taxes at tax time. This week, I'm coming at you with another one of these, which is parking and tolls. So this is just a small deduction, but it is extra money that you might be missing. So listen up. When you track mileage, you're allowed to take a deduction for the expense of your car for business travel in your business. And business travel is one of those things. Using your car, it's one of those situations where you very likely, if you work for yourself, do not have a car that you just bought for the business and that is only used for the business, right? Only a much larger company is going to have a setup like that. You, when you're self-employed, you're doing business travel in your family car, in your personal car, right? So it's a car where you also do grocery trips and go visit friends, but it is the car that you use to take your business trips as well. So for that reason, there are some special rules around mileage and business taking a car expense. And I have an episode, which I will link in the show notes for you, about taking that mileage deduction. It's a really great deduction, highly recommend. But the really important thing to note is that when you take a mileage deduction, no matter which method you use, so whether you use what's called the actual expense method, where you actually save every single receipt, oil changes, gas, everything for your car, and you take a portion of that those actual expenses based on the ratio of business miles to total miles that you drove for the year. That's called the actual expense method. Or if you do the usually much better one called the standard mileage rate, where you just track your business miles and you multiply that times a government set rate every year. If you're using that mileage method, that accounts for the full cost of operating your vehicle, including depreciation, including insurance, including gas, all of it. So it's a very generous deduction. But regardless of which method you use and how you're tracking your miles, I want you to know that parking and tolls for your business are actually tracked completely separately and outside of the number of miles that you drive. So regardless of which method you use to track your car expenses in your business, I want you to set up a separate way to track your parking and tolls, because after you calculate the deduction that you get using either the standard business mileage method or the actual expense method, you get to add parking and tolls on top into that car expense category on your Schedule C. So this is really nice, especially if you live in a place where, for example, you go meet a client in a big city. Parking is really expensive. So save those parking receipts, save your tolls, or go through your Easy Pass record and note the tolls you paid when you were going on business trips, because that is just bonus money that you get to take on top of whatever mileage method you use in your business. All right, so just a little bit of a detail to help you get a few extra dollars out of your tax return this year. All right, speaking of little details, this week on Thursday, I'm hosting a free class at noon Eastern Time called Make Taxes Easier and Stash an Extra $152K in Your Savings. I know it's a really big number, but I will show you the math of how I get to it. And in this class, I'm going to be talking to you about the mistakes that every self-employed person makes with their taxes and how you can avoid them, and also how you can develop 3 very simple systems that will help make your bookkeeping and taxes easier. This is where these little tiny details don't get lost because you have a system that automates them. And believe me, automation is how you can stop worrying about this stuff and thinking about this stuff all the time and get back to the work that you love. So if you want to join me and make your taxes easier, join me in my free class this week. It's totally free. It's just an hour. It's a lot of fun. It's going to really, really help you. But to save your seat, you need to register. So you can register at go.sunlighttax.com/free. That's go.sunlighttax.com/free to register for this free live class on Thursday, and I will see you there. I can't wait. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review. It really helps, and share it with a friend. I'm so grateful. This podcast is for education and entertainment only. Nothing in this episode should be taken as individual tax or financial advice. You can find all the tools, books, and links we reference at sunlighttax.com/podcast.